Hi, I'm Martina. And something strange happened to me recently. It was my own fault. But I didn't mean for it to turn out this way. Maybe I should have acted differently. Just listen. This is Max, and he's my boyfriend. I met him on the bus. My earpiece fell out of my ear. He quickly picked it up, and word for word, we chatted all the way. It turned out we lived in the same neighborhood. A month later, Max proposed to become girlfriend and boyfriend. I agreed. Why not? I'm already 14. All my girlfriends are already seeing someone. Am I any worse? Max looked very calm and serious. But behind this wall, he was an incredibly interesting guy. He plays different musical instruments, reads a lot. With him, there is always something to talk about. And he is also engaged in sports. Runs in the morning, swims. I soon realized that I really fell in love with him. The end of the school year was approaching. For Max, it was his last. He finished high school with flying colors and went to university. Summer was coming, and we made big plans together, excursions, trips to the States. But everything was turned upside down after one incident. You'll know which one in a minute. But now, please subscribe to the channel. And be sure to click on the bell so you won't miss any more interesting stories. So, the summer began. One day, Max called me and asked me to meet him in the park. His voice was very upset. It turned out that he would have to go to another state, maybe for a month, maybe longer. His grandmother lived there. She was very sick and needed to be looked after. Max's parents were working, and they couldn't afford a nurse right now. So Max would have to take care of her himself for a while. Tears welled up in my eyes. We were looking forward to summer. And then... But Max assured me that in a month, his grandmother would get better and he would be back. The next day, he left. We were constantly chatting and I missed him terribly. My parents saw that I was suffering, and my mother suggested that I go to summer camp for a couple of weeks. They said there would be no time to be bored, and when the shift at camp is over, then my Max will return home. I agreed. It was unbearable to sit alone at home, and Max was not writing as much as he used to. He spent all his time with his grandmother, cooked her meals, gave her medicine on the schedule. The camp was not bad. All my time was taken up. At one of my art classes, my attention was caught by a guy who was painstakingly drawing a sunflower. When he caught my eye, he smiled. "What a great job you're doing." I couldn't help myself. He looked around, took out a big album and opened it. And there were many, many drawings. The sea, the seagulls, our camp, and me. My face was drawn in every detail. I looked up at the guy in surprise. "I couldn't help it. Your face is very expressive, and you were just sitting there with your shadow falling beautifully." The boy blushed in embarrassment. "I'm Martina." I suddenly held out my hand to him. The guy's name was Liam, and he was 15, just like me. We became friends. Liam was a fan of drawing and had come to this camp because of the promise of workshops from contemporary illustrators, which he raved about. Correspondence with Max somehow sagged. He responded infrequently, in one-word phrases. I called, but the conversation did not work out well. At camp, they gave us a cell phone for an hour in the evening, at which time Max, exhausted from his worries with his grandmother during the day, was already asleep. I was sad, but Liam often cheered me. He didn't talk much, but he was just comfortable to sit and be quiet with. The camp shift was coming to an end. On the last night, we danced and partied until almost midnight. We exchanged contacts with Liam. I was a little sad. Only I don't know why more. Whether it was because Max hadn't written for 3 days, or because there would be no more evening get-togethers with Liam. When I got home, the first thing I did was call Max. He said he had to stay at Grandma's for a couple more weeks. I heard some noise on the phone, as if in a coffee shop, and voices. Max swore he ran to the coffee shop to get a croissant, but I didn't believe it. When I couldn't think of anything clever to say, I texted Liam. He showered me with emoticons and we agreed to go to the movies that night. He came to the meeting like a cover model. A shirt, jeans, and even a small bouquet of flowers for me. In an impulse, he rushed over and held me tightly, and I didn't resist. We sat there holding hands for the whole movie. Liam walked me home, and he hugged me around the waist one more time and kissed me hard on the lips. Trying to calm myself, I went up to my room and collapsed on my bed. And then the phone vibrated. A message from Max. He texted that he was coming this weekend. He really missed me. And I was confused. It felt like an eternity since Max and I had broken up. We've drifted apart. And now he's going to university and he's leaving again. And Liam, he's so genuine. And he always has time for me. What am I supposed to do now? Should I tell Max? Answer him and tell him not to come? Wait for him to go off to university and then it'll sort itself out? What would you do? Please help with your advice.
My name is Tilda, and I'm from Florida. I recently turned 15. It seems like a great age, but I feel terrible right now. And it's all because I'm in love. Very much in love. In love with someone I have no right to be in love with. And I don't know what to do about it. Please, listen to my story. Maybe you can give me some advice. My parents have always worked hard to provide me and my little brother Rocco with a decent standard of living. Rocco is 4 years old, and until recently, he had a nanny. She was an older woman who had looked after him since he was in diapers, and we got along well. But due to family circumstances, she had to quit suddenly. So, my mother started looking for another nanny. A recruitment agency advised her to hire a male nanny. Boys, statistically, get along better with guys. One night, my mom said Dawn was coming over and would babysit Rocco while she was at work. I was expecting to see a grown-up, even a little older man with glasses, stern and a little grumpy, like our previous babysitter was. But when a young guy of athletic build with a dazzling smile showed up on the doorstep, I was dumbfounded. It's like he walked off the cover of a women's magazine. They got along very well with each other, and Rocco became very close to Dawn. They hit it off right away. It turned out that Dawn had excellent references from the agency. He knew 3 languages and was very fond of children. He was just perfect. My parents were very happy, and I couldn't sleep the entire night. All I could think of was Dawn and his beautiful smile. The next morning, while I was getting ready for school, Dawn was having coffee with my mother. I could hear their laughter from the kitchen and knew that this guy could charm anyone. "Hey, Dawn!" I quickly grabbed my sandwiches and stormed out of the house. I couldn't concentrate and didn't care what the teachers were teaching at school. I just wanted to get home so I could get a glimpse of Dawn. And he really turned out to be a professional. He formed a proper daily routine for Rocco, which included physical exercise and various exercises related to learning letters and counting and also drawing. Mom could not be happier with Dawn. Dad was happy that Mom was happy, and I alone could not look at Dawn. When I saw him, I forgot all the words in the world, blushed, and began to stutter. One day, I came home from school, and Dawn and Rocco were playing outside. I poured myself some juice, put on my headphones, and sat in the kitchen with my phone. The music in my ears was playing so loud that I didn't hear Rocco run into the kitchen. He pinched me, and I turned and elbowed the glass. It shattered on the floor. Dawn ran in behind Rocco and saw what had happened. And just as coincidentally, He and I were squatting to pick up the pieces, and we accidentally bumped into each other. The situation was so funny that we crouched on the floor and laughed. Rocco, realizing that no one would scold him, ran out into the yard again. After that, I got obsessed with Dawn. I realize now how silly it all looked, but back then, I would accidentally touch him with my hand or go downstairs to get a drink of water, but really, to see Dawn. I even played silly kid games with him and Rocco just to be near him. Dawn was very nice to me, joking, but nothing more than that. It hurt. Dawn became my obsession. I lost my appetite and began to lose weight. 2 months went by like that. I didn't know how to get his attention. I was desperate until suddenly, one night, Dawn knocked on my door. Tilda, can you walk me to the bus stop? My heart almost jumped out of my chest. That's it! He noticed me! Hooray! He likes me too! We're gonna talk and start dating. I ran out into the courtyard where Dawn was waiting for me. It was dark outside. Otherwise, he would have seen my eyes shine. We walked in silence down the street for a few minutes. I was afraid to even breathe, and then Dawn said, "I noticed the way you were looking at me, and it isn't right." My heart dropped. "I work in your family, and I can't have any relationship with you." I feel like I've been hit on the head with something heavy. Otherwise, I have to quit. He looked at me expectantly, and I cried and ran home. What am I supposed to do? I love him. How can I prove to him that I'm old enough for him? What do you think I should do? I'm waiting on your advice.